Hey guys, it's Matt. Boots and I are going to do this video. Bootsy, who's now over her sinus infection after the antibiotic shot, actually worked. Guys, I'm just popping in. This is going to be all over the place. If you haven't seen the radio show, people said that was pretty well presented and it's much more professional than this. I just want to pop in to let you know that when I make, say, a presentation or talk about a certain topic in a video, like when I presented how it certainly seems like fantasy football was just another bread and circus that was brought into the forefront by the powers that be as another distraction on the American populace, and the whole story behind fantasy football doesn't seem to add up. How they knew every little detail as to how it evolved every step of the way from the 60s. I might make a presentation like that and actually sound normal, sound like I'm doing okay, like someone intelligent. Well, I'm not. I mean, I'm just saying this situation that we're in now, it is, trust me, it's not, nobody's coming out unaffected. It is absolutely as difficult to deal with on me as it is on you and others. We are all absolutely, I don't even have the words. I mean, we don't understand what's going on, mostly in the people around us. This has continuously. Hey, am I speaking for you? I'm sorry. I could generally speak for the sentiment or the pulse of this community. Our biggest frustration is not what is happening per se, although an event 100 times larger to 1,000 times larger than the 7-Eleven job application. Something that big is hard to fathom how this is happening. But what's really, really difficult for us to take is, I guess Bootsy was crying and making noise, and now she's just going to sit there. But what's really difficult for us to take is the reaction of the people around us. And I'll just give you one more personal story. I've probably threatened many times not to email these people anymore, but I'm not going to email them anymore. And the title of the email today was, "This is my last email." And I wouldn't have sent it, except I was talking to Greg this morning. Whenever I'm about to completely lose my marbles, lose my faculties, go insane, I call Greg, and just to make sure there's still a semblance of sanity left. And Greg usually confirms, like, you're not losing it. You're seeing things the right way. Just everybody around you can't see it. Well, how's that? And it's like if anybody was just popping in this video, would say, well, Mr. Person sitting there in your flannel shirt and your hat. By the way, the hat, my Mac default is backwards. It says "Give thanks." It says "Give thanks." Someone would say, "You jerk sitting here in your flannel." No, obviously you think all the people around you just can't see it, and you can see. Well, I mean, obviously you're the nut job person in a flannel, and it would, of course, somebody stumbling upon this, it would seem that way. But there are things, even objective metrics and standards, that kind of help our position and give them away, the people around us, as insane. And what happened today was one of those things, and I'll just describe it to you. But before I do, I just want to tell you this is so difficult what we're all going through. I mean, I talked to Greg. I was ready to lose it this morning. Look at me. It's like I'm like acting out scenes from The Shining here. I'm being held up in Pennsylvania every other day as some kind of snow, sleet, or ice in the forecast every other day. It just takes days to shovel out the driveway. It's just constant snow. I mean, look, it's literally like being in the worst parts of The Shining, being held up in that hotel, and then turning on the news and seeing a darker story that's 1,000 times worse than 7-Eleven, the 7-Eleven application. So it's amazing any of us are holding up with our faculties. So let me just tell you what happened. I sent an email around, same cast of characters, Ken, Tony, this time copied my uncle and copied my stepfather. And I said, I'm not going to send any more emails. Basically the message was, if you can't see this, I I don't know. I don't know what to do. I can't do any more. I'm done. I'm just completely done. And it was that chart, that Google chart, where you can just go to Google and say how many C's or incidences. I'm saying I don't want a damn banner ad. They'll put a banner ad below this video directing people to the real information, not the conspiracy information the guy in the flannel shirt's presenting. Oh, here's the real information, not the fake news. In terms of incidences, you can just take how many incidences in China, and you can see the chart, averages per week, and it goes from, I don't know, maybe 5, 6, 700, 1,000 incidences or average incidences or C's per week in March of 2020. It very quickly goes down and down and down and down to like zero or almost zero, like 5 C's or incidences or 10 or 15 in April and May. And it's just like, flat, like almost it looks like zero almost through now. And Nigel's confirmed that. He's like, yeah, in April or May, he's like, yeah, people just things went back, just business as usual. Have no incidences or any more quarantines or anything like that. It just went away, and it was even confirmed in the mainstream media as well as Nigel and others. They put posters up all over saying, "Thank you, healthcare workers. We beat this thing." They were thanking all the healthcare workers. We beat it. Well, how could you have beaten it if you allow all it would take is one person to fly in from Italy, and wouldn't it introduce it all over again? It doesn't make any sense. So anyway, it's like it literally the chart basically shows almost zero. And it's not, I said China. Okay, I didn't say like Isle of Man or something tiny that could be controlled. Gibraltar, Greenland, Salivord Islands or whatever above Norway, whatever those things are called. Or I said China. 1.2 billion people, of which, what, hundreds of millions are living on top of each other in the cities. 100 million are living in absolute squalor and poverty and wouldn't care one iota about respecting protocols or making sure you're safe, or so it. I sent this email around, and I know, especially Tony, the scripts that will be run. I know immediately he will get the gist. He's very smart of what I'm about to say, and he will immediately go find a website or a article that debunks the conspiracy perspective. Like he's not aware that, of course, anything that Matt would say, there's an article somewhere that's going to rank top of the search results that's going to say exactly what Matt presented is 179 degrees wrong, and here's why. Like he just thinks that's a coincidence. He'd go out, oh, here's what Matt was saying, and here's an article right at the top that debunks it. I guess I'll. So he sends it to me. But the point is, when I made the email, I said, guys, look at the chart for China. I said, this is where it started. There's a couple 100 million people living on top of each other, or 100 million people in poverty, and the cases are going to, just on their own, by May of last year, had gone to almost zero. Well, how is this possible? I said, it's not possible. It's just not possible this could happen. And I said, you're going to want to say back to me, I wasn't condescending, believe it or not, or I wasn't nasty or saying you're going to run your scripts or you're going to take your download. That's what I believe, of course, but I didn't say that in the email. I said, it was a little condescending what I said. I said, you will want to come back to me and say this, because this is what I typically hear. You'll want to come back to me and say, they know how to handle it in those countries, whatever that means. You'll come back to me and say, a country that has that provides or affords no rights for its citizens can take extraordinary measures in an authoritarian communist regime to do whatever's necessary to control it. So that gives people the justification. Oh, they have no rights and they had no constitution to fall back on. Not that that's doing anything for us now. They had nothing to fall back on. So then, oh yes, they could just control every aspect of it. Small government and minions could somehow control 1.2 billion people and the actions of 1.2 billion people. So that's what people would say to me, Tony. And I said, what was the last thing? Oh, it's already a mass culture. That I said, you're going to want to say that to me. And I said, again, look at the chart. It goes to like China, the entire country. It goes to like almost zero new incidences, and it's from May of last year through now. It's just flat, like nothing. And I said, this is impossible. And if you come back to me with what I think you're going to come back to me with, like they know how to handle it, an authoritarian regime that's communist can just can control everything. I said, if you come back with that response, I said in the email, that would be insane. Okay, that's a little condescending. I hear you. Bootsy, where you going? Bootsy, people want to see you. Come over here, Bootsy. Um, so what did he do? What do you think he did? He went out and he found immediately. Oh, Matt's saying he immediately found the article that ranked to the top of the search results for whatever he searched for, which is meant to debunk idiots like me. And the article was exactly the points that I predicted he would come back with, that I labeled, if you come back to me with this, it's insane. And that's what he came back to me with. This is who we're dealing with. Okay? I'm just telling you guys, sometimes I sound calm, cool, and collected when I make a video. I'm not. All right? I'm not. I'm living. The Shining was far better than my situation here. And I'm not just talking about being snowed in. And I'm talking about The Shining. Once he got through the winter, he didn't have to take that axe and do red rum and all that stuff. Their world was like somewhat normal. He could have just emerged from being shut up in the hotel, and the world would, world would have seemed somewhat normal. He could have got together with groups without threatening to be arrested. He could have opened his small business up without governments in California saying they're going to shut the water off and the power off. Jack Nicholson, that character in The Shining, had 50 advantages that we don't have, and look what he did. And I'm actually considering that. I'm holding together pretty well, and you are, I'm sure, as well. So I'm just saying, guys, sometimes I make a video or a radio show and I, make some jokes and sound, confident or sound calm. Oh, no, 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 no. Trust me, I'm an absolute mess. Now, I see it. I don't have the fear that I would have had when I started this truth pursuit. I see it as, first of all, I see it now as fascinating how these sets of circumstances could be unfolding before our eyes, where it's beyond the means of what regular people could pull off. So the fascination of it replaces the fear. The fact that I see it as a tremendous test, and they're much, much more connected to spiritual self. This is some sort of test. Again, as long as the fear, when I say I'm a mess, I mean the frustration, I haven't exercised that out of me, and it's mostly, again, I expect the jerks, the minions, whatever is animated by the screen, whatever these types of incarnations are, we expect them to run their schemes and their gigs and whatever they do. We probably didn't expect it to be 1,000 times larger than the 7-Eleven application for employment, but we're not absolutely blown away. I mean, we kind of expected it. Okay, we didn't study all this stuff and symbolism in the halftime shows and all this stuff we looked at for about 10 years for them just to nothing ever to happen again, right? So in a way, we didn't expect it to be this big, this all pervasive, this all controlling, everybody marching to the same tune, the extent of the one system much, much more grand and powerful than we could have ever possibly imagined. We didn't expect that, but it's okay. That's kind of what we expect. These jerks, this is what they do. It's Geico. It's what you if you're doing this, that, and the other thing, and you pulled off things like the 7-Eleven application, and you drop 7 things with ridiculous stories about 19 guys and ridiculous things like that. Well, this is what you do. It's Geico. It's what you do. But what drives us crazy, and I'm sorry to keep putting words in your mouth, but again, I'm a collective amalgamation or a disseminator of everybody that emails me and everybody that sends me information. We just can't fathom how the people around us, I mean, I don't even know what to say anymore. They can't see any of it. And I know we've talked about this stuff before, guys, but I don't know. It's like we've said it so many times, but I've kind of, in my mind, I had been doing this, and I just can't do it anymore. I've been doing like, well, okay, they can't see it and it's ridiculous, but if it goes a little bit farther, if this happens, then they're going to have to be able to see it. I always hold out that hope for some reason, and it never happens. They can't see it. They can't climb El Capitan. And I have to just get it in my head to understand, finally understand, they're not going to be able to see it, no matter how ridiculous it gets. What somebody sent me a what is her there's a major recording artist that has a new single out, and the album's not even out yet. It's brand new. Lana Del Rey or something. It's called. So I don't want to banner at her. Her new single, the Lana Del Rey album, is called Chemtrails Over the Country Club. And somebody sent this to me. I'm like, what? In the mainstream? You got to be kidding me. And I watched it. I was like, okay, there's not going to be much here, whatever. The first minute of the video, and this is like some mega superstars, like already 15 million views or more. She looks up and there's trails being formed, and it's called Chemtrails. Her song is called Chemtrails Over the Country Club. And I'm like, well, part of me wants to be kind of happy about this. Like, it's in the mainstream. Matt's been talking about this. We'll like, well, maybe he's not crazy. But then of course, there's no reason to be happy about it. I mean, it's not ever going to be in the mainstream in any way unless it's exactly what they want. And I haven't figured out why this is happening, how this has come to be. It could be something as simple as it just doesn't matter. They can put anything in there, and I don't know. No one's going to believe it, or they might have remembered that there was some crazy cousin at the Thanksgiving table that was talking about chemtrails years ago, and then here's a video. My younger cousin might say, "Here's a video from Lana Del Rey over chemtrails over the country club." So I said, "Well, Matt was talking about that, and you would think they would try to start thinking about that, but see, maybe they simply maybe they're so gone that it just doesn't matter. They can just literally put it into mainstream MTV videos." I don't know, but if you haven't heard about this, I still don't know how to interpret this. I think her name is Lana Del Rey. I don't know. Just put in Google chemtrails over the country club. It'll just come right up. It's like one of the biggest things now, like the Jonas Brothers or something. It was one of these big pop. I've never heard of her, but I don't know, guys. I don't know. I don't have much else to say, I guess, but I'm still going to write up that half page. I mean, everything, if you combine the reality concentric spheres, the heart-based reality that should be working out versus what the screen is trying to push down onto us, versus the stages, the conspiracy stages, level 1 all the way through level 5, the intelligent, esoteric research where you're just diving into the endless works of Madame Blavatsky and all this stuff, and how presenting it as all in one degree or another, it is a farm to keep you there, which ultimately keeps you away from yourself. Anytime you're looking at a work and here's the occult writings of so and so, or you're reading something to try to get something out of it, that's not the answer here. Any part of this life test has nothing to do with that. If you can, those works, I guess, are greater or more beneficial than level 1 spending an hour or two a day with Rush Limbaugh, because if you get to that level, you are closer to getting out the other side. But if you're still trapped there, looking for it to give you something, then from the system's perspective, it's no different than a level 1 Rush Limbaugh or Glenn Beck eating ice cream presentation. As long as you're there as of the day of your death, then I don't think it cares one iota. It doesn't. There is no, there is no close call. There is no points for being close. You have to figure it out for yourself or not. So, guys, I just wanted to say this is as difficult on me as it is for you. But whenever I get, like the mood I was in earlier today, I'm not fooling myself. I will immediately focus on what's important. I mean, this is incredibly fascinating how this is being pulled off. We're learning so much about the nature of how things work here, the nature of ourselves, and ultimately the news is very good. ultimately the news is very, very good. If things are truly, there's a lot of people email me and they're beyond depressed. I mean, I don't know if I would say suicidal, but I get a lot of different types of emails. People that are in that category, okay. And if anybody that's in that category, you're just applying too much stock and credence and credibility to this existence, this this life. I mean, as long as you've got heat in the house, some hot water somewhere, not being pursued by wolves or tortured, or it's fine. It really is fine. If you back up and look down at your life from far enough perspective, I mean, you'll just go, why did I care so much about these petty little issues? It was so nothing. It was in and out in the closet a second, and I was so worried, and there was taking over the world, and there was no more concerts I couldn't go to because I didn't get the Carl Weathers Action Jacksonation. If you back up far enough, you look down and go, why did I care so much about it? So it's fascinating. It really is. Most days I'm much more inspired by the wonder of it, the fascination of it. The reality breakdowns fascinate me. The Mandela effect fascinates me. Days I am relatively positive and in a good mood, but I do have my days, like today, where I was calling Greg. I'm like, I can't take it anymore. These people around me, Greg. I can't take it anymore. And when I get in this mood, my aunt's been calling me, and I haven't returned her call. And I just emailed her today, and basically said in so many words, you don't want to talk to me. I feel the entire, I have to put it in terms she understands. You understand where I'm coming from in terms of what I believe the Constitution was for, what it was put down initially. I have to put it in her terms and say, when the entire Bill of Rights has been destroyed, you probably don't want to talk to me. But that kind of mood. But anyway, guys, ultimately, it's good news. I'm going to write up that half page, basically, and it's going to be about a full page. When I say it's a half page, I'm just stressing how the final answer is ridiculously simple. They try to make it so complicated, and it's not complicated. It'll be about a page long, which will be maybe a 5 or 6 or 7 minute presentation. And the essence of breaking it down to a half page is we don't have to know. Once we realize we don't need to know how this works, we just need to know and apply it to ourselves. So, for example, in the last video, the radio show was talking a lot about Groundhog Day, and it's the difference between Bill Murray or Phil in Groundhog Day. Human being, human becoming. Just he knows he's not going to get out of it. And he's not doing anything to get out of it. He's just doing the right thing. Then he gets out of it. So if you're looking for in other words, if he was saying, okay, let's be scientific. Let me go to the library in Punxsutawney. Has anybody else been trapped like this? What's the Schumann resonance been? And is there any difference in the Schumann resonance in Punxsutawney versus, all that type of analysis or whatever? That's trying to read the these endless intelligent esoteric works and looking for the answer, and Bill Murray doing it. He just was like, I'm stuck here, and I don't know, there's a certain nature inside of him started to grow, and he started to in at least the way Groundhog Day presented it, do things for others, but in a thankless sense. He didn't when he caught the kid dropping out of the tree, he did not expect to be thanked, and he will be back there to catch the kid tomorrow, and he knows he won't be thanked, and he doesn't need to be thanked. And one of the main parts of us getting, or at least someone like me, people like me getting to that level, is to finally stop what I did today. And I think I've stopped. I think Ken emailed me back and said, "I'll bet you this or that. There's going to be more emails. You say it's your last. No, it's my. I'm telling you, this is it. We have to. I have to take that next step where, and I have taken that with all my other friends and family. These are the last. the people that I care about, Tony and Ken, and just I don't have anybody left. So I was just saying, one last chance or whatever, but I'm not going to send any more. And just get to the point where, okay, if they are going to just not even be able to see that it is just not possible, 100% impossible for a country of hundreds of millions of people living on top of each other and 1.2 billion people to have it somehow controlled where they get their incidences to zero, where the U.S. is pushing 500,000 6-foot unders. That's just not possible. Now, what's going on? What's really that's just another. It wants us to spend forever trying to figure out. That has nothing to do with figuring out your role here and what you are. So it will always throw, Matt, don't you want to read this 400-page essay on germ theory and not germ theory, and how germ theory is false and how it was propagated for certain pharmaceutical company advantages? No, it's completely pointless to what we're here to do for ourselves. I don't care. And that what will be reflected in the half page, and the only way to get it to a half page is if you truly don't care about the who, what, when, where. I'll skip the why and how. The why can be important to analyze. That element, if you use it to understand a little bit about yourself. If you understand the why of why they do business is loosh, energy harvesting, sustenance, getting something energetically out of the people they're tricking or fooling, like us, getting something out of us, where we put out our negative energies or negative frequencies into the ether, or worry or anger or stress. If you understand that why, well, that tells you a whole lot about yourself. Because what kind of being, what kind of powerful kick-ass being could emit energies that another type of entity actually feeds from? Something that kicks ass. So it tells you a lot about yourself. You study the screen only to the extent of why, as to how it relates back to understanding yourself. Every other element for the rest of our lives is a complete waste of time unless you see it's just a hobby. Matt, I love these Manly P. Hall lectures, and I'm going to continue to listen to hour after hour after hour. It's just something I like to do, and I'm not looking to search the screen for answers or anything, and I'm just going to continue, and it's what I like to do. It's just a hobby. I put my feet up, I grab a cup of coffee. That's great if you keep it in the right, any part of the truth chase, keep it in the right perspective, because we know now that basically 99% almost of the truth chase, figuring out what exactly happened here, how did they do this, all of it is a waste of time, because most or all of it doesn't tell us anything about ourselves. Maybe you could just say, you can try to do the same, hey puss puss, try to do the same truth chase, but then say, what does that tell us? Come here, puss puss. What does that tell us about ourselves? Then you could look at it that way and see, what does it tell us about ourselves? And you probably, no matter how trivial the investigation, we probably can find something out about ourselves. But that's the only light in which to do anything. We used to consider the old rabbit hole truth or chase or rabbit hunting. Come here, puss puss. Come up here. She's not going to come up here. Come up here. Come here. Come here. Walk in front of the camera. Come here. Come here. Yeah, these guys will cheer me up no matter what. This is a Puss Puss, and that's Bootsy back there, and they're doing good. Although I haven't introduced these two to the other cats yet. But that's coming soon. Apps to have them all together. Too difficult keeping everybody separate. Thanks, guys.